So we're basically just playing keep away with Hades. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Season 2, Episode 2 of Blood of Zeus. And yeah, it seems like Hades and Persephone just kind of want out of hell. The underworld, whatever you want to call it. It's basically all the same thing. And to get it, they need this specific artifact. Unfortunately, it has been taken from them. Well, it was taken from the temple where the shadows that Hades had sent out to get it could not get it. They were foiled, and it was taken away and placed in Gaia's hands. So, yeah. And it's kind of wild because it's like, I feel like this is the case with a lot of Greek mythology. It's like, are we supposed to be against Hades here? Because it's like, I'm not. You've done nothing to make me like see Hades and them as the bad guys. Um, and it's like, I don't know what they're gonna do with this. There's like, I don't know, like 8 episodes of this or something for this season, and it's just, I'm very concerned that they're gonna try to paint Hades and Persephone as the villains without actually making them as the villains. And then, I don't know, they're setting up stuff with Seraphim to return and everything. And it just, I don't know what they're expecting to do here. Maybe that might end up being the point. Maybe it's supposed to seem confusing at the moment. Maybe you're supposed to feel that they're how do I put this? You're supposed to believe that they are going to make Hades and Persephone look like the good guy, but then they're going to pull out the rug, and it reveals that no, they're not the bad guy, and the show makes full acknowledgement of that. Maybe. I don't know. But honestly, like, the first episode, it's like, it thrust us right into things, didn't give us any time to breathe. And I really, really hope that it improves a bit. Because it wasn't the strongest start. It wasn't bad, but it gave me some concerns. And this became a lot more clear after like taking the time to think about it. Because I've said before, like when I initially watch something, a lot of times my opinion on it can be skewed. Because I've only seen it that one time. I haven't had time to think about it. I'm giving you my afterthoughts right after having seen it. Like even when I go to like see a movie in theaters, it's like I have like a good half an hour to an hour before I get home, usually, sometimes even longer depending on various factors. Um to when I actually like talk about it on social media and stuff. So I've had time to at least think about it there. But when I'm reacting to something on the channel, my afterthoughts come up like almost instantaneously most of the time after I finish the reaction. It's like I finish the reaction and then I click stop and then I start the afterthoughts right after. There's some times where I'll go look things up, but at most that usually takes like 10 minutes. It's rare when it takes longer than that. So, yeah, it's a case of thinking about the first episode and all over the course of this week. Like I've come to I guess you could say realize that it wasn't as exciting. It wasn't as interesting because it was basically just throwing us into the final battle from season 1 while also adding in new content regarding this stealth mission to steal the artifact. And it just it's a very tough way to start a season. I guess the best way to put it is, and I think I've talked about this before with some other show or shows. When you have a second or third or whatever a following season, and you don't give enough time at the beginning to breathe, to like build into things, it kind of overwhelms you. At least it does for me. Like, I understand that the first season, like, built up a lot and everything, and so you don't have to build up as much with another season. But I feel like any season should prepare you for what's to come. You should never start off with too much excitement, because you're going into the season expecting to like build up to that excitement. The excitement comes in the congruent episodes. Having like the first episode be like non-stop action and intense like, again, keep away basically, it's it's a lot to handle. And in the moment you have that adrenaline going, which helps you get through it. And again, like talking about it right after having seen it, that adrenaline is still pumping. You're still moving. So you don't really have the time to like really think about it. That's the positivity of, time in between. And this is why streaming in bulk, this is why the binge model fucking sucks. Because if you're just binging out these episodes, you're not going to be able to comprehend everything properly. You're not going to be able to like properly absorb information and understand it before you just moved on to the next bit of information. Like it's just, it sucks. And this is why I don't like binging stuff. But I mean, there's other issues with the binge model too, but that's just like one of the biggest, most notable ones. You need that time in between episodes to think about the episodes. The point is, the first episode for me, looking back on it after having had a week to really think about it and contemplate on it, was not that good. Throwing us into the deep end of the final battle from season 1 right off the bat, it was too much. It was too much too early. Didn't give us a moment to breathe. Didn't give us a moment to think. Non-stop action. And it is just, it kind of takes me out of the experience when you don't have anything to build up to that. Especially when, like, for a lot of people, it might have been a long time since they've seen season 1. You're just going to throw them into that right away? That's going to just, like, make them, at least for me, at least for people who can get overwhelmed by stuff like that, especially with having not seen season 1 in quite a while. It's just going to make me less likely to get invested. I need that build up. I need that character stuff. Even season 3 of The Owl House, after everything that fucking happened in the season 2 finale of that series, even the first episode of season 3 of The Owl House started off slow. It started off by building us back into things, getting us prepared for what was to come. It didn't just like throw us into the deep end. And this is a season that was 3 episodes long, 3 double-length episodes long. It had a lot less time. It had to get to things quickly. And it's still, like, slowly put us into the mood for the exciting stuff to come. And listen, I'm not just taking this moment just to praise the Owl House, although I will take any opportunity I can to just praise the Owl House because it's a phenomenal series. But it did this so much better. You have this insane, massive ending to the last season. You don't start off the next season just diving right back into that. So, like, the gist of everything I'm saying here is that I'm just concerned right now. And it's really hurting my immersion and really hurting my ability to get invested when a show does something like this. And it can absolutely come back from this. And I hope it does. But it was not a good start. It wasn't like terrible or anything, but it was not a good start. We'll see how it continues to go. I don't know. I still feel like this show didn't need a second season in the first place, but we'll see what happens. So let's just get into this, hope for the best, and see if they can fix their mistake with this second episode. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. We also have gaming content every day of the week over on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Horizon Forbidden West every other day, Baldur's Gate 3 every day. Every Wednesday and Sunday, we have Beyond Two Souls, and we have Poppy Playtime on Saturdays. Don't forget to click the link in the description below to get to today's video. I redirect everything due to copyright. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video for more awesome content like this in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get to today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. It seems like, I guess the best way to put it is, I don't know if I'm going to be satisfied. I really don't know how to word that any better. But let's explain it this way. I didn't like this episode. But for kind of literally the opposite extreme reason I didn't like the first. Except this time, I also see why I didn't like it right away, instead of having to really think about it a lot more. Instead of having to, like, sit on it. So I guess that means something. And when I say I might not be satisfied, it's like, if it's kind of going from one extreme to the other with these episodes in terms of, I guess, just stuff I'm not a fan of. It's like, will we ever have a chance of reaching the kind of point that I am looking for, the kind of, like, position of this show, the interest factor? I don't know how to describe. I'm like struggling. Because here's the thing. This episode felt very exposition-y. And I've said in the past that there's no such thing as a trope that is inherently bad or good. It depends on how it's used. Tropes are not, like, entirely one way or the other. A trope can be used to good effect, even if it's something that's been used over and over and over and over again in various media. It can be used to a proper effect to where it's, like, really impactful or exciting or interesting. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, for example, uses tropes amazingly. It utilizes them in a way where it's used for comedic effect, for emphasis, for stuff like that, and it works within the context of the series. But tropes can also be used negatively. And this is one of those cases for me. This episode felt like an exposition dump. It felt like I was in a lecture the entire time. Like I'm taking like some kind of Greek mythology course in college, and the professor is just lecturing at me the entire time. And I get that's kind of the point, because that's kind of what's happening. Hades is expositing this information to Seraphim, who doesn't know it. He's telling him all this information. And it's not like there's not other stuff that did happen in this episode. You got a little bit of stuff with our main character. You got to see Persephone leaving and showing why her and Hades are trying to do this, showing their kids and everything, Zagreus and Melanoe. So it's like there's a little bit more to this episode, but let's be honest, most of it was centered around Hades and Seraphim. Seraphim refusing to, take the easy way out, choosing to take the bad side of things, choosing to take eternal pain and torture over trusting Hades. And it's like by the end, he still, it ends the same way it begins. It's like he still doesn't trust Hades. He's still choosing to just accept pain and torture for eternity instead. What good did it do? It feels like it was all for nothing. And on top of it, I don't give a shit about Seraphim. I'm not interested in a possible redemption arc or whatever the fuck they're trying to do here. This is kind of part of the problem of having this second season. Because they're doing stuff with these characters. Because this takes place in Greek mythology, and you have the concepts of the underworld and, life after death and everything. They're taking these characters who we should have left behind at this point, who really, their stories are done. Who fucking cares about them anymore? And they're still forcing them down our throats. I don't want to see more of him. His story was over. His part in the series was played out. Having Hades now using him to accomplish his goal of freeing himself and Persephone and everything from, the position they were put into by the other gods because of Zeus's greed and whatnot, I don't give a shit. I care a little bit about, the Hades part because, Hades and Persephone being, victimized by the other gods is, a natural part of Greek mythology. And is something that they would have to kind of pull off in here if they're going to have Hades as a major character. But Seraphim's inclusion in this is, so unwanted. And again, this is why I didn't want a second season. I mean, on top of just not thinking there needed to be a second season. Like I said before, I think that this should have been a one and done. A season 2 really is completely unnecessary and not really wanted in the first place. That's also part of the reason why it took me so long to end up getting to this. Because I wasn't really invested in getting to a second season for a show I don't think should have had a second season. And the thing is, I understand, some people really like this show, and I know at least one person had been waiting for me to get to this. But it's I really am not enjoying this. With the first episode, I wasn't a big fan, especially after taking some time to think about it. And now this one, it's just like, honestly, this one's worse. But while the first one was overwhelming with all the action and everything and just thrust us into things way too quickly and didn't give us a chance to breathe, this one was honestly kind of fucking boring. Again, it's kind of funny, like saying I'll never be satisfied and stuff, like taking Hamilton lines and everything. Um, but I almost feel like it's true because I don't know if they're gonna hit that kind of like good spot in the middle. It's like this was like I said, kind of the complete opposite of the first episode. While the first episode was so overwhelmingly action packed, this one was so overwhelmingly boring. Like the exposition, everything was all this exposition was so goddamn uninteresting. I did not care. And I did not care about like again seeing Seraphim again and having him be like this major character and now someone's apparently sending messages to our main character, go save your brother, he's in danger. It's like can we not? Can we just leave him to die? Can we just forget about him as a character? Like, I liked him being a tragic villain in season one. Having this tragic backstory and everything, but still being unquestionably evil in the end. I think that worked for Greek mythology and worked for the first season of this series. But again, his story was done. With his death, his story ended. Having that continue, in my opinion at least, undermines the impact of his story in the first season. And again, I just don't want to see it. I just don't care. I don't think he should have the even possibility of a redemption arc. I am not into this. I am really not. And it sucks. It does. I went into this episode today hoping to be proven wrong after the first episode, hoping to like this one a lot more, but I really didn't. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it one more episode. We're at that point now where it's just like I'm struggling to find a reason to continue reacting to this. So we're going to give it one more episode. Next week we'll get to episode 3. And if that doesn't do something to impress me, if that doesn't do something to entertain me and make me want to continue, we'll drop this. And I really don't want to because there's been multiple shows on this channel that we've dropped in season 2, and I don't want this to be another that ends up falling under that curse for me. But as I've said plenty of times in the past, I'm not going to force myself to continue reacting to something that I'm not enjoying. And I'm not going to force myself to sit through a slog of what is, in my opinion, bad content to get to something that could possibly be better in the future. I don't believe I should have to do that. I know it might be disappointing for me to drop so many shows. I know you go to a lot of these other reaction channels, Blind Wave and Previewed and all these others, and they don't drop all these different shows. They may drop one or two like once in a while, but it's rarer for them. And I understand that you would come to this channel then and see me dropping shows like left and right almost. And it's like it may be jarring. And I get that. But when I react to a show, a lot of times I don't know if I'm going to like it. And even if I liked a season enough to finish it, a future season after that might not do it for me. And again, I don't believe that anyone should have to force themselves to continue reacting to something to finish a season or a series just because because it's better, quote unquote, than dropping it. I don't think anyone should have to do that. If they're not enjoying something, they should be allowed to drop it. They shouldn't have to force themselves to continue. I'm I just don't like the directions this is heading in so far. I don't like the way these first two episodes are presented. I'm not enjoying myself. Like, very actively the opposite. I'm actively, like, very upset and not enjoying myself watching these. I am having a bad time reacting to these episodes. So, I apologize for anyone who really is like this, but I don't know. I don't think it's quite doing it for me right now. Again, we'll give it one more episode. We'll give it another shot. If it can really improve and really, like, prove me wrong, then we'll continue moving on for now. But if it doesn't, if it's just as bad or even close to, we're going to drop it. And hopefully I'm proven wrong. Like I say, I always want to be proven wrong. I always want to end up really loving everything I react to. But we shall see. We shall see. In the meantime, tell me what you thought of this episode. Tell me if you found a lot more to like about it and enjoy about it than I did. I'd love to hear dissenting opinions on from people who did enjoy this, just to know what you enjoyed about it, and I'd love to hear different perspectives. So tell me your thoughts down below, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.